Good evening, and welcome to the Murky Waters Horror Review channel. A lot of modern classics came out in the PS3 and 360 era. The most popular games all seem to follow Resident Evil 4's example, and be something more like an action game with horror elements rather than a true horror game where scares come before action spectacle. Shadows of the Damned is a special kind of treat that took the action approach, but also decided screw it, if we aren't going to try to be scary, we might as well be as entertaining as possible. Join me tonight as I take a look back at a game that may have gotten overlooked, or some of you may have never even heard of, as it's still trapped in that console generation. Or is it? Enjoy the review. During the PS3 and 360 era of gaming, a lot of the big budget series seem to go for a more and more serious approach. Just take a look at this scene from Resident Evil 4 released on the GameCube.
Them up now.
Bit of advice, try using knives next time. Works better for close encounters.
And then take a look at this scene from Resident Evil 6 released for the PS3 and 360 featuring the same character in the same universe that the previous clip took place in.
He's your supervisor?
We're on our way to meet with him right now.
Where is he? I need to know.
Jake! Let me handle this.
It's a pretty stark contrast. In just a few short years from 4 to 6, a series like Resident Evil trying so hard to be serious just makes it seem even sillier, and it makes the game feel like it's missing something. For somebody like me who loves and embraces the sillier side of the horror genre, Shadows of the Damned was a great treat during this era. The advertising and packaging would have you believe that this is a Shinji Mikami and Suda51 collaboration, and looking at the gameplay, it looks like a Shinji Mikami game first with Suda51 influences over the writing, characters, and art style. This, however, isn't exactly the case. I only learned this recently thanks to Matt McMuscle's What Happened video, but the main driving force behind Shadows of the Damned was actually a third person known as Massimo Guarini. Someone I have never heard of, and certainly isn't a name as attention-grabbing as Shinji Mikami or Suda51. And I'm not saying those two had nothing to do with this game, because just 5 minutes in and it really feels like a game developed by those two, but I felt like I should give credit where credit is due, because for me, Shadows of the Damned turned out to be really something special. Now with that out of the way, what exactly is Shadows of the Damned? It's a linear chapter-by-chapter action third-person shooter not unlike Resident Evil 4. The game wasn't intended to be this kind of game, but unfortunately for the developers, they were under the evil umbrella of the corporate monster known as EA Games. This video is not meant to be a history lesson or a deep dive into the development of the game though, so let's take a look at the game that actually hit store shelves when we review Shadows of the Damned. The story in Shadows of the Damned could not be more simple. Have you ever played Super Mario Bros? Well, take Super Mario, place him in hell, and instead of giving him a talking jetpack or a talking hat as a sidekick, you give him a talking gun. Simple as that. Our hero of the story is a man named Garcia fucking Hotspur. Yes, fucking is his legal middle name. Don't look that up. Think of Shadows of the Damned like a grindhouse film. It's purposefully over the top and loves soaking the main character and environment in as much blood as it can, and that's my kind of game. Garcia only cares about two things. The first, his girl Paula, who is the stereotypical damsel in distress. There's a bit more to her character, but you don't really get to know much of anything about her until the end of the game. And the second thing is kicking the ass of any demon, or as he likes to insult them,
Hell monkey.
If you want to get to know what Shadows of the Damned is all about, you're going to have to get used to a lot of innuendo and dick jokes, because this game is not subtle about any of it. The way Garcia presents himself as a cocky one-man army who isn't afraid of anything makes him more relatable to your boomer shooter protagonist than your horror game protagonist. He's the Mexican Duke Nukem or Lo Wang. He's Doom Guy with one-lighters. He's one man pointing his gun against all the forces of hell. If you were to make a build engine sequel a la Ion Fury, the essence of the game would not be lost. The simple nature of the game's story and its willingness to be a video game is one of the things that I find so refreshing about Shadows of the Damned. Every gameplay element from health pickups to ammo type to the simple existence of light and darkness is explained in the game's lore, no matter how stupid it sounds.
These human hearts let you withstand the darkness longer.
I'm not even going to ask how that makes sense.
And the story takes a back seat for the most part. You are Garcia Hotspur, the Lord of the Underworld. Fleming has taken your love, go get her back and kill everything that gets in your way. Where the story shines is in the game's conversations between Garcia and Johnson. During the moments of downtime between the shooting, Johnson and Garcia will go back and forth talking about things they see in the environment, Paula and Garcia's past, how things work in the demon world, and so forth. These moments take the simple story and just sprinkle it with fun and entertaining moments. It gives Garcia just that little bit more personality that says, hey, there's more to me than just being a badass. And for a game being so light on story, I sure am rambling on about the story, so let's move on to good old-fashioned gameplay. You've seen the Shadows of the Damned formula before, on this channel in fact. It's your standard third-person shooting. You can move and shoot in this one, so that's a quality of life improvement over RE4. The game has a limited selection of weapons, an upgrade screen where you can spend gems, this game's version of skill points, and it even has its own merchant.
Somebody is out there dropping enough F-bombs to start World War III, I tell you what.
And he might possibly be the best merchant in horror games since... the merchant. What makes Shadows of the Damned such a gem is the fact that it's not afraid to be fun. The story is just enough to hook you right away and the characters are endlessly entertaining, but the gameplay just tries to be as fun as possible. You'll be popping off heads as Garcia spews one-liners, you'll be feeding brains and eyeballs to creepy baby faces, you'll be spewing your sticky payload all over the place. The game starts off with the tutorial, but this is basically just to show you how the movement and shooting mechanics work. Garcia originally wasn't supposed to start the game off with a gun, but EA thought us Americans wouldn't touch the game if he didn't have one in his hand in the first 4 seconds. The first chapter of the game is the real tutorial. Here's where you'll be taught most of the game's main mechanics. Johnson is this game's version of the annoying sidekick like Navi or Flood, only instead of being annoying, he's probably the funniest and most entertaining character in the game. He's like Jeffrey from The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, except without a body and increased horniness. Every time a new mechanic needs to be introduced, a cutscene plays and Johnson will tell you what you need to do during the following gameplay.
Johnson, why is there a goat head hanging on the wall?
Oh, well, everybody knows that goats are a source of light.
The cutscenes are brief and not intrusive, and the game always maintains a consistent flow forward. Garcia is a demon-wasting badass in his own world, but in this hell world, darkness rules over the land, and the darkness is a key gameplay mechanic. Whenever the darkness comes, Garcia will not be able to kill the demons, and while he's in the darkness there is a small window of invulnerability, but when that runs out, Garcia's health starts to drop rapidly. This is because the darkness eats away at the souls of mortals. Finding a disembodied goat head hanging from the wall and hitting it with a light shot will disperse the darkness. Ah yes, the light shot. Johnson is not only a hilarious sidekick, but he's also a shape-shifting ex-demon that was cursed to be the floating skull that he is. Johnson acts as all of Garcia's weapons, and each weapon can alt-fire the light shot. Hitting the goat heads is only one use of the light shot. You can also light up lamps, unlock doors, disperse darkness from demons, or stun demons who aren't covered in the dark. Before moving on to all the other cool things Johnson could do, let's talk about his gun powers. He can take the form of a revolver, shotgun, and eventually a machine gun. Take those guns from a normal game and put them through the ridiculous filter a couple of dozen times and you have the Shadows of the Damned versions. The revolver form is perfect for headshots, a good shot will pop off a demon's head like a water balloon, and a perfect shot will do the exact same thing, but in style. The revolver also gets a hot boner upgrade, which allows Garcia to fire sticky bombs that can break stronger demons' armor and is used to blow apart walls in your path. The shotgun I didn't even know existed until I got an upgrade for it, but it's actually there from the start of the game. Using it on any lesser demons will result in a shower of gore and giblets. Once upgraded, they decided one skull wasn't enough, and Garcia can now fire up to 4 skulls at once. That not being quite ridiculous enough, after the final upgrade, Garcia can merge all 4 skulls into one giant super skull.
That makes sense.
The Super Skull can be launched like an exploding bowling ball that just look at it. The last of Johnson's gun forms is a machine gun, and yes, there are only 3 guns, but each of them gets several upgrades throughout the adventure, making them feel new again. The machine gun form at first fires like a typical Tommy gun, but later on gets upgraded to a quad barrel Tommy gun, and then a quad barrel Tommy gun that fires homing teeth. Teeth hurt demons in this game, by the way. With all these insane weapons, I wonder how Garcia and Johnson would fare in a more realistic setting. Johnson also acts as this game's torch when navigating the areas. Garcia can also use him as a standard melee attack or as a powered up version. Hitting any demon covered in darkness will instantly disperse their shield, and if you hit them with the charged version, Garcia will follow up with a more powerful swing that kills most lesser demons instantly and sends the stronger ones out of your personal space. The demons standing and dying in Garcia's path are pretty basic fare. You have the naked fodder demons, the same fodder demons but with more armor, the same fodder demons but with even more armor, the fast crawling 4-legged demons, and some bigger ones that you'll have to dodge and shoot the gem on their back, or just do the easy method of hitting them with a light shot and watch them spin around exposing the gem. The 4-legged demons can crawl up the walls and cover the goat head in darkness. Every single time you are trapped in the darkness, you will see one of these bastards crawling up the wall, so be ready to knock them down before they can make your life a living hell. There are bigger and tougher demons sometimes throughout the game, like these big brutes, these guys covered in knives, and these guys with electric and teleportation powers. Each demon one-on-one is not too much to worry about. It's when they start parrying more powerful demons with waves of fodder demons and then using the darkness to their advantage where things can get interesting. Overall, the combat is good, just not anything groundbreaking, but Shadows is not trying to be the next big franchise like Resident Evil or Dead Space. It's just trying to offer a good time, and it does. Garcia can also dodge incoming attacks with the circle button, and if an enemy is behind you, you'll get a quick second to react and counterattack. There's a lot of variety on how to tackle combat. You can rely solely on Johnson's teeth and skulls for the most part, but get good and you'll be stunning demons with light shots, planting sticky bombs around the area, and blasting through barrels filled with condensed light that explode on impact. Not that you'll really need to get good though, because if Shadows of the Damned has a downside, it's the difficulty. I originally played the game on Demon Hunter and found it just a bit too easy, so I used to recommend starting the game on Legion Hunter. Then I played Legion Hunter myself. The enemies seem to stay exactly as easy, and the only thing that makes it harder is the fact that the game gives you less upgrades, less money to buy said upgrades, stuff costs more than it used to, there's less health pickups to go around, and bosses become extraordinary bullet sponges. All these little things do add up to a more difficult experience, but a less fun one overall. It's not so bad until you get to the bosses. Most bosses use the light and darkness mechanic, meaning you'll need to wait for the perfect opportunity to hit them. On Demon Hunter, after 1 or 2 times downing them, they usually move on to their next phase, but on Legion it takes about 4 or 5, and that just makes the fight drag on for far too long. I wish there was a difficulty in between Demon and Legion, or maybe that Legion just improved the enemy AI instead of artificially increasing difficulty to make fights take longer. Now on to another minor complaint, the control setup. You aim your Johnson with the L1 button and fire with the R1 button. In most third-person shooters I've played, you use the L and R2 buttons, aka the triggers, you know, like a gun. This one here is filled with salt. It's meant to kill flies, but I usually use it to shoot my friend Elliot when he's being annoying.
Hey, Elliot.
This isn't a huge deal, and the trigger buttons are used for other actions like the light shot, but I thought I'd mention it. Another complaint is the fact to heal yourself you need to press the L2 button and select which item you want to heal with. There's a small, medium, and large one. But when you select one, Garcia instantly uses it, and then to reuse it quickly, you press L2 again. Why they couldn't just select which one you need to equip without drinking it immediately is beyond me. Oh well, at least in hell the booze just keeps flowing. Just walking around and checking out the environment in between the Splatterfest is one of the most enjoyable experiences in Shadows of the Damned. Not only is the world dressed with lots of little details to check out, but there are posters around town that you can look at and get a little insight on how things work in this universe, told through funny conversations between Garcia and Johnson. And I can't skim over the storybooks. You'll find at least one in every major chapter of the game, and these not only serve as entertaining stories, but also provide a backstory for each of the game's bosses. Usually if you find a book, a demon you've been on the tail of is nearby, and these storybooks tell the tale of who they were before entering Hell and serving Fleming. Johnson narrates these books as well as gives his own commentary, except for that one time Garcia narrates, which is absolutely hilarious. Wandering around cool locations and stopping to shoot hordes of demons or do a puzzle is the name of the game, but Shadows of the Dam doesn't stop there. There are sections where you'll need to navigate through darkness so thick it can't be dispersed, and you'll have to find a way out before Garcia dies. There's one section of the game that I can only describe as a turret section, except the turret is a giant dick. And how do you like these world map transitions? Well, there are stages in that style too. These are side-scrolling shoot-'em-up stages, and they are a nice break from the main gameplay, but I gotta admit, when they were finally over, I was glad they were over. The puzzles in this game are of the find the right key card for the right door variety, only instead of finding key cards, you'll look for brains, eyeballs, and strawberries the size of basketballs. These weird baby faces that are as creepy as they are adorable will let you know which item you need to find, and the game likes to do a lot of the old find this item to open this door to find this item you need for the next door trick. Didn't I say this game would work perfect in a boomer shooter setting? There are doors that can be unlocked with a light shot and platforms that can be moved with a light shot. Doors that are blocked by demon pubes can be unlocked by placing Garcia in the dark and shooting out a switch in the light. There are bosses that use the same trick in order to take damage. And the bosses in this game are pretty solid. Each of them have patterns to learn, multiple phases, and are just challenging enough to be fun, but not a complete cakewalk. The Three Sisters Grimm fights usually take place in between main boss battles. These are similar fights that get increasingly more elaborate, sorta like Bowser in Super Mario 64. You will almost always know when a boss is around the corner because the game will toss a storybook to read not long before each fight, and directly before each fight you'll find a Booza Hall vending machine or Christopher hanging out. Shadows of the Damned is overall solid as hell, but there are some technical issues we need to talk about, and this game is certainly overdue for a remaster. But what if I told you that one already exists? Kinda. Hey you, do you want to play this game remastered right now? What if I told you that there is a way? Shadows of the Damned is a game trapped in a previous generation. While there's nothing wrong with the PS3 or 360 versions of the game, I think most would agree that a PC version or next-gen remaster running at least 1080p 60 FPS would be a smoother experience. Well, if you have a decent PC, I have good news for you. You may have noticed that the video footage looks quite a bit better than the PS3's 720p 30fps output, and that's because I am playing this game on my PC using the RPCS3 Emulator. With this emulator, I'm able to enjoy the game at resolutions as high as 4K and frame rates as high as 120. The video you are seeing now is 1440p 60fps, and here are my settings to get the game running at this performance. You will also need to download a patch that is as simple as click, installed, and the game's frame rate can be increased. Playing through the game on my 55-inch 4K TV with the DualShock 4, or now you can use the DualSense 5, is as close to a remaster as we have for the time of this video. The game with the right settings is playable from start to finish without any issues other than some minor graphical issues during the 2D shoot-'em-up sections where you can see the seams where the background layers connect. Other than that, this is about a 98% perfect emulation. Oh, and the cutscenes are pre-rendered in-game, so you'll notice a drop in quality when the game switches to them. But even big budget remasters like God of War 3 on PS4 had this problem, so I don't really think it's a big deal. I do wish that an official PC port or an actual console remaster existed for those who don't want to or just don't like using emulators. But if you have the hardware to run it, this is definitely the way I recommend playing it. And yes, I own the original PS3 disc and I am not condoning piracy. With the emulator and a Blu-ray drive, you can legally rip the game from your own disc and play it on PC. If you choose to Google where to get an ISO of the game, that's up to you. I ain't your friggin' mother. Anyway, onto the game's actual performance. Playing the game on an emulator or on original hardware will still offer a great experience compared to the other games of the same generation on the same machines. Playing it on an actual console or an emulator will result in the same problems at the core of the game's code. These problems include sound effects and voice clips being really quiet or out of sync. And during the second half of the game, there's a glitch where Christopher is supposed to bite Garcia's hand, but he grabs and bites nothing. These problems happened on a 360 version back in the day, so I don't think that they are exclusive to one version over the other. And that's another reason this game could use a remaster. It feels like there should have been a patch to fix minor details like this, but we just never got one. I should also mention that this is a complete game on the disc and there is no DLC to worry about. and aside from the glitches, the sound and art design are top-notch. Suda51 games are usually more comic book and cartoony than Shadows of the Damned, but even with this more realistic art style, the game is still pretty loony. The actual level of graphical details in the environment and on the demons isn't amazing, but the lighting and art style more than make up for it. Garcia's jacket is very shiny and nice to look at, and everything in the world being soaked in blood gives a glistening look to the environment. The edges of the screen have a subtle shadow around them that adds a bit to the illusion that this is a world that is always dark, and when you enter the darkness, the game instantly switches to obscure everything outside the darkness in monochrome, except for the obvious points in the environment or enemies that you need to shoot. And the color in this game, everything just jumps out at you. There's so much color in this game that it's easy to forget it was released during the grayest and brownest era in video game history. Each of the guns Johnson can transform into are color-coded, as well as the ammo, and even Johnson himself in torch form changes the color of fire he emits. Everything just flows together so well, and with the unique style and silly tone, it looks and feels more like a hell-themed carnival than actual hell, and I love it. There's just a ton of lighting and bloom in this game. Everything from the barrels of light to the posters to the pickups, it all just illuminates so bright and shiny. The human character models are fairly high quality too, with nice high-res textures. Garcia is even sporting his favorite Yakuza title on his sleeve. The demons on the other hand seem less detailed by comparison, but they certainly don't look bad. Animations are decent and the demons react to every hit. You can pop off their limbs and watch as they gush blood from their bloodied stumps or giant holes in their chest cavities. Sound effects in the game are nice, like the demon's groans when bullets blow apart their body and splatter sound effects when a part of them pops. There's a nice distorted voice in the background that gives positive reinforcement when you figure out a puzzle or wipe out a horde to progress, and that's just nice. The voice acting is quite good too, just turn off subtitles immediately because they pop up long before characters are done talking. Garcia and Johnson are both very well acted, but they do reuse some of the dialogue for almost every upgrade after a while. Paula is also very well acted, and you can really feel her suffering through her performance. Every time you run into her, something bad is happening to her, and it really puts you in the mood to continue playing so that you can save her. As for the music, it's done by Akira Yamaoka, and if you don't recognize that name, then you are dead to me. Akira Yamaoka is known for the music in almost every major Silent Hill game, and the music here is just as amazing as it ever was, and helps Shadows of the Damned stand up as a higher quality offering than it needed to be. Some generic heavy metal would have gotten the job done, but what we have here elevates it to the next level. The opening theme of the game was also done in collaboration with punk rock band The Damned. Fitting. Some parts of the game go above and beyond, like the big boner section that has you shooting demons in a city filled to the brim with neon lights. And this whole city is only used for this one section, you don't even get to explore it. The game has nods to classic horror movies too, including an entire chapter called As Evil as Dead. You guess what it's based on. So, do I think Shadows of the Damned is worth playing? I think you can probably predict the answer about as well as this game predicted the future of the Silent Hill franchise. So let's get on to that ranking. Now at this point in the review, Shadows of the Damned probably sounds like the perfect package with maybe a few flaws holding it back, and that's basically the gist of it, but there are a few more things holding it back from being truly amazing. After completing the game, you get nothing. No new weapons, no new game plus, not even a new title screen that says, "Yay, I beat it." This makes recommending the hardest difficulty Legion Hunter even harder because you can't start the game off with all your upgrades from a previous playthrough. This also makes Shadows of the Damned kind of a one and done game. I played it when it first came out and loved every second of it, but that was about 10 years ago, and the next time I played it was, well, for this review. The game doesn't quite end on a cliffhanger, but it leaves the door wide open for a sequel, and to this day, we haven't gotten one. The rights of the game have reverted back to Suda51 as EA wasn't interested in the sequel. It's kinda shocking they were even interested in publishing this game in the first place, but hey, they used to be kinda cool. I am giving Shadows of the Damned a respectable B rating, and I definitely recommend playing it at least once if you like action horror games, especially if the punk rock and heavy metal twist sounds appealing to you. I really wanted to give Shadows of the Damned an A, but the complete package offers just a little bit too little for that. Whether or not you play it on the PS3, 360, or the RPCS3 Emulator, you are going to have a blast, and it's a fairly cheap game that you won't need to spend more than about $25 on a copy of. Tops. A remaster could iron out the minor technical problems, and a sequel could expand on the foundation that they already built and give us something that's bigger and better. But until that day hopefully happens, I'll be here reviewing whatever else comes my way. Thanks for watching, and have a nice evening.
I'm gonna sleep in your bloody carcasses tonight!